Okay, everybody, we have a lot to go over. I know a lot of people are going to be seeing this, so I'm just going to cover it very, very quickly. This is ATXG. It went public, I think, at like $5. Very small float, and you're seeing these kinds of moves more and more. We saw it with HKD, some of these other names, but the magnitude of this is just astounding. So you're up right now about 10,000%. I can't even say it without laughing, but essentially what's happening with these is they're just opening up on such small floats and then they're just running them. Now, if you just take a look at where this traded to already, okay, you could just see that it just kept going, right? Now, after hours, if you look at something like this, okay, you went to 1100 already. So, there's really no way that you can buy these and actually say that there's some kind of plan involved, that you're planning this. The way that I explain to people in the trading room that we're trading these today is real simple. You just need to treat it like an option. Okay, there's no other way to say that. If you're going to try and get in one of these, and I'm laughing at it because the probability of actually pulling this off is very, very slim. But you want to take small positions and you want to treat it like an option. And then whatever money you put in there, just be willing to watch it go to zero, because some of these will go to zero. Some of these will never open again. Okay, and they will be locked up for a long period of time. But these returns are there, and I think it would be kind of silly to not go over it. But just caveat emptor. In other words, just buyer beware. So don't be the last person when the music stops on these, because it will stop. No different than it did with something like HKD. Everybody was all excited about this one, right? Same thing, took off. And now all of a sudden you're back down here. So this is typical of froth, which is somewhat troubling and going to lead us to the other things that are going on in the market right now. But I thought I'd be remiss in not at least covering that for people. I got asked a lot of questions about that today. So I think we should probably start with Snap and what's going on there. And we really need to address crowd and the action in that, and NVX. So again, there's a lot to cover. I'm going to pack it in here. But with Snap, okay, laying off 20% of your workforce, basically throwing in the towel is what you're doing as far as growth. That's not ideal for this company at all. And you're hanging in here, and now you have this doji. If you break this doji right here, I'll just tell you right now, 1032, if you break that 1032 level, and we can zoom in on this, as always, comment on these videos, because I'm not doing them. I'm not editing them anymore so that I can get them out faster to you. But I would appreciate the comments on what you like and don't like, so I know what to do here. But see this snap right there, 1032. So if you break that, you're probably going to this 985 level and then see if it snaps from there. I know these seem like silly ideas that you could still trade there, but when I show you this NVNX, when you understand that there was a trade there today, even though it was down. But for some reason, I did not think that, the tie between Meta and Snap is always fascinating to me, because Snap can have bad numbers and Meta will go down. And I mean, it's like comparing David to Goliath. It's just staggering. Let's get rid of all these lines for a moment and let's just refocus on this. So you can see your downtrend here, right? You can see this very, very clear. Okay. I mean, doesn't get any clearer. So they traded up on the news today. There was actually a pre-market trade on this today, like right off the rip. You could see it. You could see the volume start coming in. This was obviously a really nice pop, and then it just couldn't hold. I actually had a short on this in the beginning, and then it just really didn't work out. But you got that bearish engulfing right here, and that kind of gave you your trigger, right? So what you would do is you would just execute here. If you wanted to do it again, I did not do this trade again. There was too many other good things that were working today. 167.86 would be your stop. That's how you would enter that trade and exit that trade, right? Very simple professional trade. You'd still be in there hoping for the gap fill. So very simple way to do that. But you're fading, and that's what's happening a lot here. So I want you to understand this, because it's the end of the month. And when we look at some of these charts at the end of the month, which we're going to go through tonight, like this was one we put a short on today in the trading room and frankly crushed it on it. So, but this was a really simple trade. And really what you're looking for is you're just trying to understand where you are, right? So, and when I say where you are, understand where you are in regards to the chart. So this is really simple again. Here's your opening bar, right? This bar encapsulates there. Some people could have used that right? But you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen yet, right? You could gap down, you could bounce right back. The earnings were excellent. They were really good earnings. But once you got to a level where you triggered and you set up down here, this became very clear that you had a real issue. Now, if you take that 1 minute chart and you overlay this, so we'll split the screen here, and this is the daily. So once you overlay this and you can see that you start breaking through these levels, right? And then you close below the 50. This is day one of the short position. So why we're in a little, a lot higher actually on the short, I would not rule this out as a short candidate. And I'll give you a couple real clear indications of what's going on here. So that 179 is holding for now. If that breaks, this can continue to roll. The indexes were really weak, and we're going to go over that. We'll get into the real stuff. But I did want to cover that ATXG. And by no means am I telling anybody they should need to be running out and buying that. I'm just pointing out what was happening today and how crazy it was. But what you want to do is make sure you have VWAP in all your charts and you're looking at 1 minute time frames, because you're seeing super technical trading, bonk, right against VWAP. So if you're missing these off these triggers and you're like, oh, I missed it, there's always another way in. Okay, you don't feel like you have to FOMO into something. There's always another way in, and you can see that set up pretty perfect. One of the things we always talk about in the trading room is it can always get worse, right? Like that's one of the things I really try to hammer home. It can always get worse, right? So you have this $300 stock and people are just saying, I'll just hold it at 75. It'll just get better, right? And now you can just see these breakdowns. Understand these levels, and when you start breaking these levels, what can happen? Okay, this thing could probably be a teenager. Obviously, there was bad news today with the BNTX and mRNA news out. I'm not going to bore you with it. You can look that up on your software. But you see that crack. You get a lower low tomorrow, and this just probably continues to sell. No one's going to really want to keep stuff like this in their book of business. I want to just point these out. These kinds of trades, because this is something that I've been shorting since I think about not here, probably around here we started, definitely in the 80s. And then you came down and you got into the 20s. So when you're shorting these things on a fundamental basis and people are like, oh, it ran up. If you're short here, you really don't care, right? If you're in at the right price. What you look for is you look for an entry. If you want to do it again, you had a little double horn pattern right there, broke that, and you're rolling again. So, names like this, when there's a fundamental problem behind them, you have to give them the time for the fundamental problem to work. So you could see Carvani go back to $19. That would not be surprising to me at all. It's not something you need to watch for tomorrow, but I think it's pertinent to talk about. Now, for tomorrow, I would focus on names like this again, if you're just looking for trades and seeing if they can come down. So this is one that we shorted earlier in the week in the trading room, and I actually even showed it here on this video on one of the dailies. And I think we actually did it in the top 10 on Saturday. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what we go over here is timely. If you're looking at this 2 weeks from now, it doesn't have the same juice. But 149.60, you break that tomorrow, you could see 144.65. 140.55. I have puts and I am short stock on that, and I like it. I mean, I think it's pretty clean. Now, if you just look at the 15-minute, you can just see what you're dealing with. And I got in recently. I did not get in on this bar. So I waited for confirmation here. So just FYI. But I think it's really important to look at some of these and go, okay, where can this get to? Well, you can get to 144.65 very easily, 140.55. And all you're doing here is you're looking for setups all day long, right? So understand not every setup you're going to do is going to work. Shoot for 50%. If you're hitting 50% of your setups, you're a hero, as long as you cut your losses and hold your winners. But if you look at names like this, when you start seeing them break these levels, like this was crystal clear. You take out the lower low, that's it. You break it, you retest it. Support becomes what? Resistance. Bonk, 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 right? And then they pull the flim-flam on you at the end of the day to make you think that you're going to get stopped out. So this was one we actually added to the short today. I like it. I think it's going to continue, and I think we're going to get down to those levels. You're seeing no support here. I mean, might as well just get right into it. You're seeing no support here at all. So one of the things that I put in last night's newsletter, and if you don't get the newsletter, there is a link in the description to get it, and it is free. But let's just put this right here. So you see how you broke this anchored VWAP? So when you have lows, put an anchor VWAP on them, see where you're at. It tells you where the average price is of all the players. And this video might go a little longer tonight because there's a lot to go over. But see those levels? So once you crack, that's it. It's game on. So this was where we bought SOSX. I mean, that was it. That lower low, boom, it's on, risk on, right? So when you start seeing those kinds of names, that's really what you want to focus on. I don't know if you're going to get down to here. I'm going to tell you something. No one knows if you're going to get down to here, right? When you're asked, when people are saying they know that you're going to take out the lows, we have no idea, right? All you know right now is your trade's working, and your goal is to manage your trade, not manage and come up with opinions, right? It's going to destroy you. So believe me, I've seen it. But see how like these cues, see how you're breaking right here? Okay, so now you are clearly below and close below this level. That's not what you want to see at all. So, if you take out that lower low tomorrow, SQQ might be something that you want to consider. SPY, take a look right here and you can just kind of see how you cracked and you broke it. Again, it's not what you want to see. You could always build in here and hold. Do I think we're going to take out these lows? I have no idea. I really don't have a clue. Remember, if you go back and look at some of the other videos, I was saying that this was too obvious a place for it to stop. And obviously, I was not right about that. And you can see it, it just came down. But this data that came out today on non-farm payrolls was not that bad. It actually was good. Now, Friday's a big number. We'll talk about that in tomorrow night's video. One thing that would really trouble me if I was long is that the VIX is dropping and the indexes are taking out lows. And if you look at these indexes on a much longer time frame, being the end of the month, and you just realize that you are now closing, let's get rid of that, you're closing at the lows of the month, this is not where you want to be. If you get an outside month here to the downside, then completion of this pattern, like that's an outright shooting star. So completion of that pattern of this evening star would get you right to here, would be a test of 167. So that would be the technical pattern completion. So that's it. I know that's a lot that I went over tonight. Thanks for staying a little bit longer. As always, comment on this video. Today's the last day that the trading community is open, and then we're closing it for an undetermined period of time. Link to preview it is right up here. Everybody have a great day and trade to win tomorrow.